What's up, y'all? It's Chris here to talk about all the fights I saw yesterday. First fight I saw was Michael Conceitas against Kevin Mitchell. In all honesty, I'd never not only seen Kevin Mitchell fight before yesterday, I'd never even seen a picture of him. Actually, no, before Strikeforce video. But I didn't even know he was white. You know, whenever I hear the name Kevin Mitchell, I always think of the old baseball player for the Giants and the Mets. So, shows what I know. Anyways, good fight while it lasted. Michael Conceitas. The first couple rounds kind of back and forth. No one had a clear advantage. But in the third round, Conceitas hurt Mitchell on more than one occasion. Ended up catching him with a big left hook during an exchange and finished him off. You know, the ref, he was battering him on the ropes. The ref stepped in between to stop the fight. I don't think it was an early stoppage. This was one of those stoppages where a guy gets hit and he goes out and he gets hit with another punch and it kind of brings him back to consciousness. That's what it looked like. So, good win for Michael Conceitas. I think what the problem here for Mitchell was, now granted, I haven't seen him fight, so I can't, say on his history of fights or how he is, but I think his handlers thought because he beat Brees Prescott in his previous fight pretty easily, that Brees Prescott got a lot of power, but it's kind of one-dimensional. I think they thought he was ready for a Conceitas fight, who's also seen as a bit of a one-dimensional slugger. But Conceitas is much better technique-wise than Brees Prescott. And I don't know if it was too much too soon for Mitchell, or if he's just not that level of fighter. We'll be able to tell in the next few fights, but a good win for Michael Conceitas regardless. The one thing that I thought was funny about this fight, when the winner was announced, the UK announcer, in-ring announcer, said, and the winner is Michael Conceitas. It was so unenthusiastic, it was funny. You could tell he was not very pleased about announcing that. So, anyways, be sure to check that out though. Moving on, Victor Ortiz, Nate Campbell. Wow, I expected this fight to be a lot more competitive. In all honesty, even before the fight started, I looked at Nate Campbell and I thought to myself, he does not look in that good a shape physically. Now, granted, you can't tell just by looking at a guy, but his body just didn't look as good as when he was fighting, at lightweight. As for the fight itself, Nate Campbell, I don't know if, supposedly he had a hip injury going into the fight, I don't know. But he just could never get his punches going. He could never get on track. He never got anything going. Victor Ortiz controlled this fight almost the majority of the way. Early on, he looked really good, Victor, that is. Threw a lot of combinations, had a lot of power and a lot of shots, Credit to Nate Campbell for being able to stand up to what Victor was putting on him, Some other fighters may not have. But as we all know, Nate's a really tough fighter, very durable. But, youth prevailed in this fight as I imagined it would. The only issues I have with Victor's performance is the second half of the fight, he seemed to slow down, and he just didn't seem as confident. He was holding more, which was funny because even his cornermen were telling him, why are you holding? When you hold, that's the only time he has to hit you. That's the only time he's hitting you. So, I don't know. It just seemed like Victor had a lot of confidence early on, landing all of his shots. But when Nate Campbell was able to stand up to those, and he wasn't able to get Nate out of there, he just fought a lot more reluctantly, somewhat. Second half of the fight, he definitely fought more off his back foot, and didn't come forward as much. Fought more of a counter style. Granted, he did still fire a lot of impressive combinations, but just didn't seem to fight with the same confidence that he had in the first half of the fight. But hopefully it'll come back to him. We'll see. I don't know. If I was Golden Boy though, I wouldn't rush in to put him with any of the top dogs yet at the division. Because I still don't know where his confidence is just yet. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight at Lamont Peterson though. I think that would be a really, really good fight. Next up, we had Amir Malignaggi. Another fight I thought would have been a lot more. Oh wait, real quick. What's next for Nate Campbell? I don't know, man. I don't know if it's time for him to retire or not yet. He hasn't looked that good in his last couple of fights, but he just needs to fight someone a little bit lower level. Maybe a Julio Diaz, who had an impressive win on Friday night fights over Herman and Gojo. I think that'd be an interesting crossroads fight for both fighters. Back to Malignaggi Khan. Another fight I thought would have been a lot more competitive than it was. It was not. This fight was not competitive at all. Amir Khan dominated from first round till the fight was stopped. I don't know who had the speed advantage. It was close. He may have had speed advantage. He definitely had a power advantage. I've never seen Malignaggi beaten so decisively. Granted, he lost pretty, clearly to Ricky Hatton and Miguel Cotto both, but Amir Khan absolutely dominated him. I was surprised how easily of a fight he made it. One thing I liked that Max Kellerman pointed out was that Khan keeps his hands up, where Malignaggi keeps his hands down. Thus, Khan is able to get there quicker with the punches, faster with the punches, because his hands are coming from such as far of a distance, which was noticeable, obviously. You know, also Khan just used a much better jab, a lot of combinations. Just he was battering Paulie around that entire fight. Landed a lot of good solid shots. You know, all credit to Paul Malignaggi for never quitting or never attempting to quit. But he just never had a chance in this fight. You know, I don't blame the referee for stopping him to stop the fight. No need for Paulie to take a sustained beating when there's a fight, when he's in a fight that he has no chance of winning. So, impressive performance by Amir Khan. A good win. He said he'd like to fight Maidana next. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I don't know. You know, I don't know who I'd even pick in that fight. You know, we didn't get to see Khan's biggest question mark, which is his chin tested in this fight. And it definitely would be against Maidana. The fact that Khan would want to fight Maidana, though, all credit to him. So I hope to see that fight sooner than later. The one thing about this night of fights for HBO, though, Golden Boy Promotions, good matchmaking. I said it before the fight. I thought they didn't want either Khan or Ortiz to lose, you know, being as they're kind of young stars and they're stable. And, you know, although the fights are competitive on paper, they didn't turn out to be that way inside the ring. So, good matchmaking by Golden Boy Promotions. And, like I said, Amir Khan definitely was the star of the night, though, of the show. Moving on, Strikeforce, Heavy Artillery. I don't have a whole lot to say about this show. It just wasn't, the fights were okay, but just the event overall just didn't have that spark to it. You know, and afterwards you didn't have, like, there wasn't a lot of stuff you really wanted to talk about. You weren't all that excited. At least I wasn't personally. First fight of the night, Rafael Feijiao stops Antoine Britt. Britt was getting the better of it on the feet. Feijiao clipped him, hurt him, finished him. Feijiao will probably be next to fight King Mo for the light heavyweight title, Strikeforce light heavyweight title. If that happens, I fully expect King Mo to win that fight. Next up, we had my longtime favorite fighter, Kevin Randleman, taking on Roger Gracie. All I got to say about this fight is I'm surprised that Kevin didn't get submitted sooner. I'm a fan of Randleman, but in all honesty, he has nothing left to offer at this point of his career. He's got his name, but that's about it. Injuries have plagued him. He just never really developed as a complete mixed martial artist. And I honestly think he should retire. You know, I just think he's not going to do anything more but just incur more losses if he continues to fight on. You know, so it's been a good career, Kevin. Still a fan if you continue to fight on, and even if you win or lose, but I definitely think it's time for you to hang him up. As for Roger, I don't think he's going to be a full-time MMA fighter. If he is, he definitely needs to improve the stand-up. But on the ground, he ain't to be messed with. Next up, we have Jacare Souza against Joey Villasenor. All honesty, credit to Joey Villasenor. I thought once Jacare got him to the ground, this fight would be over in no time. But Joey Villasenor was able to survive on the ground. Do want to give credit to Jacare. Much improved on the feet once again. He's improving every fight on the feet. You can see in his technique. It's unfortunate that Jacare didn't start fighting MMA sooner because he might be at the top of the division or one of the top fighters in the middleweight division if he had. But pretty good fight. Jacare controlled for the most part. His only issue was he kind of gassed out midway through the second round. Thus, Villasenor was able to have a little bit more success in the latter half of the second and the third round, but not enough success to even come close to winning the fight. Jacare Souza wins a decision, and it's definitely in the mix for a Strikeforce middleweight title, regardless of what Jake Shields decides to do next. Next up, we had Alistair Overeem against Antonio Bigfoot Silva. I thought this fight would be a little bit more competitive. I thought Arlovsky would be better on the feet. You know, granted he doesn't have the best chin, but I thought he would get the better of it standing. Not the case. I don't know what's going on with Arlovsky. I don't know if his confidence is a bit shook after his last couple losses, knockout losses, or what, but he just didn't look as good as or impressive as he has in the past. Of course, you got to give Antonio Silva credit for that as well. He fought a good fight, fought a smart fight, controlled the majority of the fight, and ended up winning a decision that was deservedly so. He may get Alistair Overeem next for the title. Not really too excited about that fight, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. As for Arlovsky, he'll stick around because he's got a big name. He's a big draw. But I don't think we're ever going to see Arlovsky at the top of the heavyweight ranks ever again, unfortunately. Main event, we had Alistair Overeem defending his Strikeforce light heavyweight title successfully against Brett the Grim Rogers. You know, expected this fight to be a little bit closer. Rogers was never even a threat to Overeem. Overeem was working him over a little bit on the feet, threw him to the ground like a child, and dominated him from there with position and ground and pound. Fight was stopped late in the first round. Alistair Overeem, ground and pound win by, stoppage. What's next for Overeem? Oh, let's just hope it's Fedor. If Fedor, as he should, beats Fabricio Verdum next month, let's hope this fight gets made already. If not, like I said, he'll probably fight Antonio Silva. not a bad fight, but it's nothing on the level of Overeem Fedor. So I really want to see that fight. Like I said, overall, not the best night of fights. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. It was an alright card. Let me know what you guys thought about it. And if you think Overeem could beat Fedor. I don't know. Hard to say. Anyways, with that said, be sure and check out the website. There will be bloodfightshow.com, leaveitinthering.com, and my Twitter if you're interested. Links are under the video as always. Even though I'm wearing a Twitter shirt, this is Nobody Cares, anti-Twitter shirt, I still do tweet. Also, be sure and check out the radio show, leaveitinthering.com, every Thursday, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 Eastern. We did have a special show after the fights last night on HBO, so be sure and check that on the podcast if you didn't last night. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about some more boxing, but until then, y'all, I'm out.